This Destructoid PAX coverage is brought to you by Magic the Gathering Duels of the Planeswalkers 2012.
Hey guys, Tara here. I'm sitting with Nick Chester, the editor-in-chief of Destructoid. How you doing, Nick?
I'm doing good. I'm doing very good.
Thanks for being with us today. We are actually not in the show floor right now at PAX. We are in a fancy hotel. Dale North is playing piano in the background right there. And the reason we're here is because we just got a behind-the-scenes look at Conundrum, which is the new game that's being designed by Kim Swift. We talked about this on the show a couple days ago, but she's the chick who created Portal. She's also been heavily involved in the Left 4 Dead series. She used to work at Valve before going over to Airtight, which is the company that's actually developing this game. So we got about a 10 to 15 minute demo. What are your initial thoughts?
It's the most interesting game I've seen at PAX so far.
Really?
Yeah, but then again, a lot of the stuff that I've seen at PAX already has been things that I've seen previously at E3 and stuff like that. So this is actually pretty surprising. I mean, you could talk a little bit more about the game, but basically, like you said, it feels a lot like Portal, or rather, it looks a lot like Portal. Has kind of that vibe. But instead of using the portals, which sort of was a revolutionary sort of in-gameplay mechanic, this is revolutionizing the way dimensions are used, and you could talk a little bit more about that.
So basically, just to give you guys a background of the story, you play as a kid, and you're visiting your uncle. Your parents have dropped you off there, and he's gone missing. And he's like kind of this weird, crazy scientist guy, and so his mansion is like enormous, and he has all these like scientific gadgets in it. And basically your goal of the game is to find him, and there's a whole lot of puzzles throughout. You mentioned Portal because I noticed that there were a lot of influences in there, like a lot of picking up objects and then placing them, you know, like to jump to higher locations. But it seems like kind of the core mechanic of this game is actually using this thing they call an IDS Glove, an interdimensional shift device that allows you to switch between dimensions. And there's 5 dimensions in the game total that they tell you about. So just with a flip of a switch, you can turn the entire environment you're in into like a fluffy dimension. Yeah, it's very strange.
It's cute. It's very cute. Everything
It's
sort of
cute.
has like a blue-pink hue on
Yeah.
it. And any sort of heavy objects in normal reality will turn into sort of little stuffed animal versions of it.
Yeah, so you basically have to use the different dimensions to kind of get around in the house, like fluffy stuff for picking up heavy things. They've also got a reverse gravity dimension, which if you're throwing objects allows them to go like up instead of down, so you can throw things really long distances.
You could slow time.
They had a slow-mo.
Yeah, and the thing about all the dimensions, they all look very, very different. For example, when you shift to the fluffy dimension, like I said earlier, everything sort of gets very cute and very pink.
Yeah.
And then when you switch to the slow motion dimension, it sort of gets like a grainy, like old-timey.
Yeah, very like
feel to it.
1920s film. Yeah, so do you think that those dimensions are going to be enough to like really kind of make the game good? Like, do you think that is a good enough gameplay mechanic?
Yeah, I definitely think it is. 'Cause then when you think about Portal, I mean, Portal is basically like, you know, in one end out the other kind of thing, and they were able to sustain an entire game based on that. So I mean, you're looking at 5 different dimensions, each of them which do different things to the environment, and sort of the things that they can do with those types of puzzles, and even based on what we saw in there, sort of just the tip of the iceberg, I think would be really, really interesting.
Yeah, and they've got some other stuff too. They showed off this dolly thing that is like a cloning machine in the game, and you can clone inanimate objects or humans, but apparently the more you clone a human, the like more mentally, can I say the R word?
You shouldn't say that, because that's really
the slower
inappropriate.
they
You know what I
get.
mean?
They get slower, and so you have to kind of like work your way around that to get through the rooms in the house.
The thing I liked most about the game was the look and sort of the feel of it, all the different characters. You know, she spent a lot of time sort of giving us a lot of backstory, and there were a lot of paintings and stuff on the walls. Like we saw, there was the cat, the crazy-looking cat, and then there was the scientist's little sidekick, little creature that kind of looked like Snarf from Thundercats. He was in there.
Yes.
And you know, I think, you know, for me, that's really attractive. I think if they can keep up the same level of sort of humor that the Portal games kept up, again, we're going back to Portal, because it does have a kind of a similar vibe to it.
You guys will see when you see it. You'll notice.
Yeah, but definitely for me, so far, it's been the most interesting thing I've seen. I think the different you know, gameplay mechanics and the stuff that, you know, can arise from those different dimensions is going to be pretty fascinating, a lot of fun.
I agree.
Kind of a pain in my ass too. I feel like they're gonna be really hard. Like I was watching her try to figure out some of those puzzles in there, and I was just like, I don't know how to do
I
this.
asked her, I was like, how representative of this like of the actual difficulty is this? And she was like, you know, it's about mid-level, I'd say. And like some of the stuff she was doing, I never would have thought to do that myself. But then again, she designed the game, so whatever. We're gonna have our final thoughts on this in a second, but first let's take a second to thank our sponsor.
Duels 2012 has intuitive controls and lots of helpful tips, so whether you're a seasoned veteran or you've never played Magic the Gathering before, this is a great way to get into it. The latest version of Duels has enhanced co-op modes and a new deck building system, as well as new decks, new characters, new puzzle challenges, as well as a new game mode called Arch Enemy. Duels of the Planeswalkers 2012 is available now on XBLA, PSN, and Steam. It's only $10, and if you're hesitant, there's a free trial. So go check it out right now.
So something that I neglected to mention before is that it is a puzzle game, but there's also a pretty big platforming aspect to it. And a lot of that is basically using objects around you to create platforms for yourself. So you can throw an object and then immediately switch it to a slow motion dimension and then jump on top of the object, and it'll slowly take you like if you're trying to get across a large gap. So stuff like that I think is a really interesting aspect of the game. Obviously, you're excited about this. I kind of came out of the meeting and I was impressed, but I do feel like it's incredibly reminiscent of Portal, except it seems way harder, which is what I'm really kind of have my reservations about. It seems really difficult.
But you know, there were people who finished Portal 2 and were like, that was too easy. So,
There
I mean, this
are,
game
and
might
I
be
am not
for
one
them.
of those people.
You know, with the 5 different dimensions, it definitely can be a little bit more complicated for sure. But I think hopefully they're going to balance it, so I'm not beating my head against the wall. You know, trying to finish the puzzles.
I'm excited to see when they have kind of a more polished product. And I think that the game is supposed to be coming out sometime next year. Not totally sure on that. They haven't really given a release date yet, but we're definitely going to have more coverage of this later on in the year and early next year. So keep your eyes on us. Thanks for watching.